Mic'd up.
Rovner from the Mic'd Up platform. AJ Rovner, Steve Shanamanico. Back to talk some Rangers hockey. Still in this thing. I know I'm just a repetitive force week in and week out, but it's really the same situation. The Rangers playing mediocre hockey, helped out by other teams playing mediocre hockey. According to playoffstatus.com, the Rangers currently have a 23% chance of making the postseason. They currently sit in the first spot out, I believe, if my math is correct. They are in that spot. They're 35, 32, and 7, 74 games in. But as I said, the team in front of them, Montreal, is 4-3-3. Behind them's Columbus. They're 3-6-1. Behind them, the Red Wings, they're 4-6-0. These are all in their last 10. And the Islanders are 3-4-3. So obviously, a lot of teams around the Rangers are also struggling, which is really helping New York. They're the only team in the Eastern Conference that's not in the playoff picture that actually has a positive goal differential at +2. But we'll get into the games and everything that's been going on. Obviously, could be a huge signing the Rangers made yesterday in Gabriel Peru, one of the best players in college hockey. So, but anyways, opening thoughts about what's just been going on, the playoff picture, the Rangers in general.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Rangers on the outside looking in. It's been one of those seasons. The fact that they still have a shot, albeit like you said, 23% or something like that. Uh, you know, got to climb over Montreal, who has a game in hand. Columbus behind it by 2 points with 2 games in hand, although they have the more difficult schedule. Um, so see what happens. We've been on how many weeks in a row just talking about the inconsistency. Some strange things have been going on. Two shots on goal again in the first period against the Kings the other night. That's 3 times in 2 weeks they've had 2 or less shots on goal in the first period. I've never seen it in my life happen. To a team like that. But this is the Rangers. This is what we deal with. Blew a 2-goal lead against Anaheim. 5 minutes to go in the game. Inexplicably give up a 4-on-2. 2 minutes to go for the tying goal. Never possessed the puck in overtime. Just, you call me Joe Negativity, but that's been the kind of year it's been as a fan anyway, looking at this team. So we'll see what they can do. 2 weeks left in the season, 2.5 weeks, whatever it might be. Um, Amazing this season they've had, and that they're still in the playoff run for the wild card spot.
It is certainly one of the most interesting sports in hockey when you just think about how Gabriel Peru, this is how I'm going to open it up, is playing for a national championship March 30th at 9:30 p.m. and now he's going to be on the New York Rangers playing tomorrow. It's certainly just one of the most crazy ways in any sport to just go from the college game to the program, but the NHL does allow it. And it's exactly what Chris Kreider did. And in fact, he had an amazing postseason his first year. His first ever NHL goal was in the playoffs. And another kid from Boston College. So it should certainly be interesting to see if Peru can continue in the footsteps of one of the greatest Ranger postseason players and probably Ranger players of all time. So let's talk a little bit about him. He's 19 years old. He's played on the USA under 18 national team, the USA under 20 national team in at Boston College this year. Well, I guess we could just talk about his career numbers. Played 73 games at BC, 35 goals, 73 assists, 108 points, was a plus 52 in college. A young, raw talent. You just got to hope that the Rangers, and they've been known for many years now, can develop these young guys because it's been a consistent struggle in that department of guys just being high level prospects and not being able to perform. I don't know how much you know about them, but talk to me if you know any about Gabe and what he could bring to the table because he's certainly going to play. But what do you think about the addition? And yeah.
Yeah, he was a late first round pick, 23rd, I believe, overall. So the work didn't come with the expectations some of these other guys have had in recent years. They let him kind of stay under the radar. And from everything I've seen, highlights, he's got some pretty damn good talent. Um, he's kind of overachieved, if you want to call it, to this point, and he earned a spot right now with the team. They're not sending him to Hartford, whether he's going to play or not. I would assume, if you're not sending him down to Hartford to get some time, you're going to put him in there some way somehow, which is a pretty risky move to throw a kid into a wild card playoff race like this. But maybe that's what they have in mind. Um, you know, you good young kid go along with Barad and Othman. You know, they're lacking the size, but it seems like today's players, that's not one of the top criterias when they're looking to draft players is the size. I guess with the type of league it is now, with more open ice and no clutching, grabbing, no stick on stick or any of that stuff. So we'll see what he does. But so far, I like what I see out of the kid.
I just think that also, and there's been a lot of Rangers fans talking about, and even beat writers, that if he's going to play, you got to see what he has, and putting him on the fourth line with guys that can't offensively perform to the level of others on this roster. I don't really know if that does much, but we'll see what Laviolette does. He seems as though when he brings up players from the minors, he just shoves them onto the fourth line and they average 7 to 8 minutes per game. I'd like to see him maybe get a little bit of development. Let's just call a spade for a spade. If the Rangers do find a way to get into the postseason, the way they're playing, it'll be a
Also,
reverse of last year and
I
get
think
smoked by
this
Washington.
this might be a kind of move to just try and bring a spark, a late season spark to the team. They've lacked it all year. They've lacked consistency. Maybe a wake up call to certain players. Who knows what they have in mind? But at this point, the way they've played all year, you may as well try something to see if you could, sneak into that last spot. And then, with some of these veterans and with Igor and net, we all know anything could happen once you're in the playoffs.
It's definitely ironic that last year, Washington, same kind of situation as the Rangers, outside looking in, right at that borderline to make it. They squeak their way in, get swept by New York in the first round. And now I hope it's not a sweep if we do get in, but it would be the exact same matchup in reverse if it does happen in the round one of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Well, I've been on here since October and we are now in April. It is officially, I mean, I think once it's April 1st, you're in as much of a home stretch if there is one. If not, they haven't even already been in one. So Rangers have 8 games to go, 4 at home, 4 on the road. We'll talk about their 3 game road trip. Rangers went 1-1-1. They're losing. They lost at the Kings 3-1, a game that they were pretty much dominating start to finish, in my opinion. And then they play Anaheim. I would think that's the worst loss of the season. It's up there with that Chicago home loss. I reiterate that a lot when they lost 2-1 on home ice, and then a really nice rebound by a team that needed it, beating San Jose 6-1. But we'll start off with LA. Steve, Rangers lose this one. As I said, 3-1. They got off to a hot start. JT Miller from Lafreniere and Schneider. And that was pretty much it. Rangers got outshot by 10. They got out hit, as that tends to be the case. Darcy Kemper had 22 saves. Fiala, sorry, had two, one an empty netter, one on the power play. Rangers once again struggled on the power play in this game, I believe. Um, I think they did, right? I think the Rangers went. Yeah, Rangers went 0 for 3 in this
Yep.
game on the power play. So, talk to me a little bit about that LA game.
Well, it's been a repetitive theme to their losses. They did start off with the early goal, one that was fortunate. I think Miller banked it off the post, and Kemper actually he kicked it in or something. But anyway, two shots on goal in the first period. This game reminded me of the 2014 Stanley Cup Finals, where the Kings were faster, bigger, stronger, dominated play, controlled play, limited the Rangers to offensive scoring chances. As I mentioned, Kemper only had to come up with 21 saves. And, again, game was right there for them to at least get a point in the third period. Couldn't come up with a tying goal in the third, had to play. And eventually, Fiala scored into the empty net. But not an awful game, but not a game where thought they, were going to come away with the 2 points. One would have been a nice bonus.
And then you go to Anaheim and you look at the schedule. I was talking to a lot of people. Hey, even if you lose to LA, this could be a really successful late season West Coast trip if you could squeak out 4 points. And the Rangers, this is probably the worst loss of the year. They blew a 3-1 lead. Well, they actually blew a 1-0 lead, a 3-1 lead, a 4-2 lead. And we'll take you through this one. They got off to a good start. Fox from Panarin and Miller, then Killorn, Stanley Cup champion in his own right, scores a shorthanded goal, totally unacceptable. Miller and Lafreniere go back to back. The Rangers actually, if you combine the two periods, they scored 2 goals in a minute and 26 seconds to make it 3-1. That would bring us into the third period where Carlson would make it 3-2. Rangers with a beautiful response. 2 minutes and 13 seconds later, 4-2. All's looking well. Cutter Gauthier makes it 4-3, and then with a minute 45 to go, Owen Selweger with a goal 4-4. And then, as you said, Rangers do not control the puck. Mason McTavish going to be very good in this league. His 20th goal. And the Rangers once again lose a heartbreaker. Still get a point, but you're not happy about a point there. You got to take two.
Yeah, going in, you want to take two, and the 2 goal lead with the 5.5 to go, you got to take two. There's no excuses. Rangers played sloppy. I thought Anaheim looked pretty good, got off to a good start, some quality scoring chances. Ego was good in the first. Um, Anaheim looked like a team that had nothing to, lose in the style of play. The younger kids looked like they were skating pretty quick. Zellweger, the guy who scored the tying goal on a 4-on-2. Rangers inexplicably give up 4-on-2, 2 minutes to go. Should be clamping down. He trailed the play. He looks like a real good, bright young defenseman that they have. And then I think Trocheck lost the opening face-off in overtime. Rangers never had the puck, and a minute later they're skating off with a horrific loss and a horrific loss point this time of year. Speaking of Trocheck, not the player he was last year. Disappointing year in my estimation, both ends of the ice. But he's one of the veteran leaders, so 8 games to go. They need everyone, all hands on deck, so to speak, to come up with their best hockey for 8 games.
Speaking about Anaheim, they've taken a huge step this year. Won't make the postseason, but their most amount of wins since the 2018-19 season. So it seems out in Duckland, Disneyland, that there is some hope for future seasons. When you think of Anaheim, at least for me, you think of the glory years with Ryan Getzlav, a guy that was as loyal as it gets, was only a Duck even at the end. But continuing on with the Blue Shirts. They wrapped up this road trip with a heck of a response. They beat the San Jose Sharks 6-1 at the tank. Sharks are the worst team in hockey. They took care of them. This game was all Rangers. The goal came when it was 6-0 on the power play with 2 minutes and 14 seconds to go. I think the only one that cared about that goal was probably Jonathan Quick. He wanted a shutout. Nobody gets a minus on that play. Panarin had 2 goals. He actually had each of the first two. Urho Vakanainen's having his best offensive season as a pro by far. He had 2 assists. Adam Fox from Othman and Zibanejad. Othman made a heck of a play there. Johnny Brodzinski's got 10 goals. He's shown a nice offensive spark down the stretch. Adam Fox had his 9th goal of the year. JT Miller had a couple points. He had 2 of them. Trocheck had a shorthanded goal. Rangers outshot the Sharks 33-22. It was nice to see Alexander Georgiev not play well. He always bothers me as a Ranger. 818 save percentage. That's not going to get it done. He's 53rd in the league for all goaltenders with qualified stats with the 366 goals against average, 874 save percentage, 33rd in win percentage. Not a good year for the goaltender out of Bulgaria. But anyways, good all-around win for the Rangers. They needed it as they come back home.
Yeah, it was the only response really you could have had. You had to have the 2 points against San Jose. Next game they got blanked by the Avs, so they're in one of those teams still transitioning with some young talent. You mentioned Fox; he's been real good lately. He's been much more active in the offensive zone, shooting the puck. He poked one in from the goal mouth that was just about crossing the goal line. So he's a guy that maybe after the injury took him a little while to get back into things. But he's been hot on the score sheet and just being much more involved. They're going to need him. Fairly easy night for Quick. Should have had a shutout. You know, sure the whole team's kind of disappointed they couldn't get it for him, but easy night for him in net. He came up with a couple of big saves. So yeah, nice response, good win. But now they got plenty of time off until the game tomorrow against the Wild. So we'll see.
Yeah, great point by there, Steve. It's really been an interesting schedule. Sam brought it up. By the way, beautiful ceremony they had for Sam against Vancouver. It will be certainly odd not to hear his wonderful voice on air as someone who's an aspiring broadcaster. Big reason why I do this. Not having him call games next year will be an oddity to say the least. I grew up with the
Well,
same broadcast booths on
here
the.
it's going to be you and Joe next year, so I'm looking forward to that.
I'd love to. I'd do anything, but nevertheless, I only grew up with the Mets, Gary, Keith, and Ron, Rangers, Joe, and Sam. So definitely a big portion of my fandom coming to a close. And he's a fan himself. The first thing he said in the press conference at the Garden against Vancouver is, "I'm really trying to will these guys to go to the playoffs so I can call one more series because MSG has an agreement with the NHL that you're allowed to call the first round on your local networks. So Sam would get a few more games if that was the case. But nevertheless, Rangers only have, let's see, 8 more games. Three of them are nationally televised. I believe, no, 7 more games, right? Yep, 7 more games. Three of them are nationally televised. So obviously, no local networks. ABC, TNT, and ABC again. So 4 more games of Sam Rosen in the regular season for us Ranger fans. We will answer some of your questions, and then we will go over this next stretch. I was going to say it's been weird scheduling. Steve brought up a great point there. You play in Los Angeles, then you had 2 days off before back to back in on the West Coast. Now another 2 days off. Then you play Minnesota, then another 2 days off. So rest should not be an issue for this team. Good point by there, Steve. But we'll answer your questions and then keep on rolling.
It's amazing to watch the Rangers. I went to the game on Saturday night against the Sharks. It's the best game they've played in months. They finally outworked the team, but even still, if you watch the game, Mika and Kreider were soft. The one check Kreider tried to throw, he bounced off somebody. They spend so much time reaching for people and not checking people and taking the body. They're too soft to play against.
You can answer that.
Yeah, I think not that they were. I'm not gonna say they were soft last year against Florida, but they definitely got out hit, out muscled. Didn't come up with enough pucks. One of the many reasons they couldn't get by them. But yeah, I couldn't agree more. They're a fairly soft team. They lost Truba, they lost Lindgren, they lost Goodrow. Probably the three guys that lead the team in hits. Cooley's one of the
Yeah, that's
Cooley's
the only guy.
great.
Yep.
Cooley's one of the top guys right now, and he's probably going to break the Rangers all-time record. I don't know when they started keeping the stat, but yeah, not enough guys take the body. Not enough guys want the puck or come out with the puck, and every play like that makes a difference in a game, and it's one of the big reasons that they're not successful.
Could have been better said. Continuing on.
On the defensive side, Susi is one of the worst skaters the Rangers have ever had on the team. I don't understand how Dahan is not playing. Is he that bad? Susi is Milan Lucic skating, which is not good. He's not physical enough, and he can't move the puck. How bad is Dahan that he's not playing? And how could they bench Zach Jones? Come on, man, give me a break. Vakanainen is not a good defenseman either, but he's better than Susi. But Zach Jones needs to be in the lineup.
I'll chip in on this one. Dahan was excellent when he played, Steve. +4, had an assist. Was playing about 16 minutes a night. I'm not a big Susie guy. I agree there, and I would love Zach Jones to still get minutes. You could chip in as well.
Well, getting back to the previous question, I think Susi gives more size and feels his physicality than Jones. That my only thought that why Jones would be out of the lineup after playing pretty solid as Fox's replacement for 8 games. Vakanainen's been pretty solid. I have no problem with him. I'm not going to criticize him being in the lineup. Um, but yeah, I just think Susie's in there to just give them a little bit more size, little toughness, and they have enough finesse guys. And we know Zach Jones isn't going to move anybody out from in front or put anyone into the boards. So tough call with that, but that's my only thinking. You don't know what goes into coaches' decisions when they make personnel moves, but that would be the explanation that I would think that you'd get from the Ranger coach.
He already spoke about Meek and Kreider, and then basically his last question is saying no matter what, Laviolette's got to go, and we both agree with that. And then my
I
dad's question,
agree with.
yeah, I totally agree. And then my dad said, "How do you match up? How do we match up against the Capitals? It's going to be really tough. Ovechkin's turned back the clock. It's it's really a difficult matchup."
They're a tough team to play against. We talked about them all year. Um, it's nice to see a little kinks in the armor, giving up 7 or 8 goals. I don't know if one was an empty netter the other night to Buffalo, as we've seen with Buffalo. Another
Yep, they could score 8 one night.
And yeah, then they go, 1, 2, 2, and 1, and then they score 7 or 8, and Tage Thompson's lighting it up, and Paterka's lighting it up, and Dolan looks like Bobby Orr. I saw a clip of him the other day, had the puck for like 40 seconds, wasn't touched, set up a guy, he didn't score, but smooth skater guy. So yeah, I'm not sold on their goaltending with Lindgren and Thompson in net, but they play a strong enough overall team defense where goalie may not have to be the best player on the ice in the playoffs. Tough team to play against. They hit, they block shots, they throw the puck in, they go in the corners for it, and you still have plenty of offensive talent with, as you mentioned, Ovechkin, Dubois having a good year fitting in, McMichael, Protus. So they're pretty good all around.
And then speaking of these next 3 Ranger home games before we come on next week, listen, they're not cheap, but if you are a fan looking to go to a Rangers game, tickets are $66 against the Wild, $58 against the Lightning. These games are still meaningful. That is as low as you are going to see tickets at that arena. But nevertheless, Matt Zuccarello always gets a nice ovation when this team comes back to town. They'll play the Minnesota Wild. Wild are ice cold. They're going to make the postseason, but they are not playing good hockey. They've lost 4 of their last 5. They've actually played the Devils back-to-back games, losing both, getting outscored 8-4. I know we talked about this a lot, Steve, and we talked about the last time they played. Kirill Kaprizov played 37 games. He's second on their team in goals. He's third on their team in assists and third on their team in points, and by far their highest plus minus. So just showing how much of a miss that is for Minnesota cannot be understated. But to talk about the guys that are active, Matt Boldy can have a 30 goal season. Most likely going to have over 70 points. He's had a nice year. Marco Rossi has 22 goals, 55 points. Zuccarello, he's got to bring him up. Still having a nice year, 45 points in 62 games. Between the pipes for them is Philip Gustafson, 29, 17, and 5, 259, 17. How do you not bring up Marc-Andre Fleury, a thorn in the Rangers' side, a lot of my childhood, one of the best to ever do it, 12, 9, and 1, 278, 903. You would have to assume at the Garden the Rangers will do something for Fleury. Congrats on a great career, something on the Jumbotron. Certainly well deserved. First ballot Hockey Hall of Famer. You look at his numbers, Steve. He's got 573 wins to his name, a 260 goals against average, 912 save percent, 76 shutouts. Unbelievable. But tell me a little bit about Minnesota.
Yeah, Fleury has had a great career. It was a nice move by Alex Ovechkin the other night after the game to call his teammates, some who were already in the locker room, call him out and line up and shake Fleury's hand, wishing him well on his retirement. Ovi was the first guy in the lineup on the handshake that night. It was an impromptu thing, but that was a nice gesture on his part. Yeah, as you mentioned, not playing good hockey without Kaprizov. Really have trouble scoring goals. We don't know who's going to be in net for them come Wednesday. I assume it's going to be Gustafsson, but I don't know what their schedule looks like. Matt Boldy leads the team with 25 goals. Zuccarello's still great with the puck, still a great playmaker. Got to be real careful with him on the power play. But yeah, a team that's not going in the right direction and maybe missing Kaprizov right now is starting to catch up with them, because after his injury they played well for a little while, but I think they have a little inconsistent with the goaltending with Gustafsson. So Rangers coming home after three days off. So I would like to see a good opening, a good first period, and a good performance, and get 2 points, especially with Minnesota in a cold streak.
And then the Rangers will play the New Jersey Devils in New Jersey. It has been as bad as it gets for a team in an opposing arena as it got for the Rangers when they played the Devils that first time. I was there, lost that game 5-0, got outshot 30-12. So Rangers are going to have their hands full. Got to tip your cap to the Devils, Steve. They're probably the most injury-plagued team in hockey. A lot of people thought they'd not only drop out of the divisional race, but they could probably threaten to drop out of the playoffs altogether. I've heard a lot of people that do analytics, 88's about the magic number this year. Might be the first time with this format you won't need 90. Devils are sitting at 87. They're all but a lock. But thanks to winning 3 of their last 4. Listen, they beat the Wild on the road. They beat Chicago on the road. That's still a difficult environment to play in the United Center. It's ironic that the Rangers are playing the Devils and Wild after facing a back-to-back against each other. But this team, of course, misses Jack Hughes. He had 70 points in 62 games. Jesper Bratt's turning into, let's just be honest, one of the best players in hockey. He's got 20 goals, 66 assists, Steve, 66, 86 points. Nico Heischer's their leading goal scorer with 34. They still have Timo Meyer. He has 22 goals. Stefan Neeson also has 20. A lot of 20-goal scorers. And let's not forget Jacob Markstrom. He's still out, right, Steve, to my knowledge?
No, he's back. He's been playing a lot lately. He won
Okay.
on the last 2 against Minnesota, matter of fact.
Gotcha. Well, Markstrom's having a nice year coming over from Calgary. 25, 14, and 6. 248 goals against average. 901 save percentage. Jake Allen, backup down from Montreal. 12, 15, and 1. 261, 910. Listen, that's the reason they're still in this thing. A 262 goals against average. 907 save percentage as a team. It's really dang good. New Jersey's still one of the best defensive teams in hockey. Out of the Rangers compete with them and not get embarrassed, as they have 2 of these 3 matchups this year against them.
Yeah, you mentioned the recent 3 out of 4 win streak they have. Before that, they lost 3 in a row, and they could have been in danger of not only losing their spot in the division, but losing out on the playoffs altogether. 6 points out of the last possible 8. Back-to-back wins against the Wild. Hopefully, the Wild stay cold. Wild only scored 2 goals in each game. We mentioned their lack of scoring. Jesper Bratt, he's cold on the scoring. Only no goals in the last 7, only 20 on the year. But as you mentioned, he's been setting everyone up this year. Great playmaker. And Nico Hischier has really stepped it up lately in the absence of Jack Hughes. Leads the team with 34 goals, a career high for him. He's got points in 10 of his last 11. Rangers, Devils always play. Things always seems to happen. Always a hard-fought game. Jack Hughes is a Ranger killer, so thank God he's not going to be out there. Also missing Hamilton on the back line. He led power play. So, but they're not an easy team to play against. They have a lot of guys that like to throw it in and go get it. Guys that go to the front of the net. Howell, Mercer. I don't know if Mercer's out. I know he got hit in the eye last week. But yeah, so it's always a great game against the Devils, and it's going to have more meaning than in the standings for the Rangers and the Devils. But I don't think that's going to matter much once the puck is dropped.
Then the final game we'll cover is home for Tampa Bay. Now, this might be one of the best divisions in hockey, the Atlantic, this year. There was a point where 6 of the 8 teams in this division were in the postseason: Toronto, Tampa, Florida, Ottawa, Montreal, Detroit. Tampa Bay's playing for a division title. That's obviously huge. First 2 rounds, you're home. Tampa Bay is 43-25-5 out of all teams in hockey that you probably don't want to play at this time of year, led by Cooper and Vasilevsky. Still, I would say it's Tampa Bay. They've won 6 of their last 8, including 3 in a row. They've outscored their opponents in their last 3 games 19-4. On the offensive side things, Nikita Kucherov, boy, oh boy, Steve, 109 points, 33 goals, 76 assists. He's a plus 21. He has 33 power play assists. I mean, he's got 40 points on the power play. Brandon Hagel has 33 goals. Braden Point has 38 goals. Jake Gensel has 37 goals. It's very rare these days to see 4 guys on the same team with 33 or more goals, and this season isn't even over yet. Then you go over to assists. They have 5 guys with at least 35, 8 with at least 25. Victor Hedman's numbers, they seem to never downgrade. He's still one of the best, plays every night. And then goaltending, Vasilevsky, after some question marks the last year or two, has just, if there's no Connor Hellebuck, he's the slam dunk Vezina winner. 35, 19, and 3. Listen to this, Steve. 218 goals against average, 921 save percentage. Another very, very, very difficult matchup for New York.
Yeah, Vasilevsky's back. He's been strong all year, and as you mentioned, would be the front runner for the Vezina, if not for the guy in Winnipeg, the Russian Bear. Takes up a lot of the net, and he's back. You mentioned, all the offensive prowess they have. I mean, I'm looking at Jake Getzel, 70 points in 72 games. He's 4th on the team in scoring. I mean, what team in the NHL can say that out there's one? Not even the top. Defensively, they're tough. The defensemen, other than Hedman, like to stay back. They block shots.
Got McDonough back this year, too.
Ryan McDonough was a great pickup. He's a plus 40 in 3 games. Unbelievable. Good for him. Always loved him as a Ranger. Chernak throws the body. They just have a lot of guys back there that play the same style. They don't like to take too many chances in the offensive zone. They have Hedman for that. Then you even look at some of their lesser players. Anthony Cirelli's having a great year, 26 and 26 for 52 points. Nick Paul's a guy that goes up and down the rink, big body. So going to be a tough matchup. As you mentioned, they're really hot, and they are battling Toronto for that top spot.
And I think you also have to say that they're led by arguably the best coach in the sport of John Cooper. Listen, you have a guy that is no doubt could have a statue outside your arena. Probably your best player in franchise history besides St. Louis and LeCavier, I would say. I mean, probably better than LeCavier. I mean, probably St. Louis is the only other, and that's Steven Stamkos. You lose your captain for over 10 years. And to look at the performance to keep this group together like this in Tampa Bay looks as good as they did in their cup years. They could certainly make a run. But listen, the Rangers season ends in 16 days, and we'll know if they have more games after that. Only 2 more episodes for this show, hopefully more, but we will see. Anyways, any lasting thoughts as we go into next week, next 3, Peru becoming a Ranger, these last few, any other things?
Nope, I just spoke to my agent, and I'm getting my personalized torpedo bat. See how I could do doing the 16 softball league this summer.
All right. Well, first year as a grandpa, first and back in softball 60 and over league. Well, maybe Crowder can join you with that back. Anyways, Rangers, as we keep on saying, 8 games to go. They're right in this wild card picture. And we will see what they're made of, playing some really strong opponents down the stretch. Nevertheless, AJ Rovner, Steve Shannon-Manico, episode 45 of the Rovner Report. We'll see you next week. Thank you.